Hello and welcome to Learning HTML for Complete Beginners. Now this video is the first in a course of videos in teaching basic HTML, but we will be doing videos covering basic styling with CSS, adding some logic with JavaScript, and then finally deploying the site to a web host and publishing your website. Now we'll be focusing on HTML5, which is the latest edition of HTML. We won't be looking at CSS too deeply, only in so much as how it ties in with the basics of CSS. At the end of this video, we'll be building a simple web page. So you might be thinking, well, where do I start with creating a HTML website? Well, there's only two things that you need. You need a browser to open up the HTML page. So when we click on the HTML file, it will open up into the browser by default, and a code or text editor. There is a whole host of choices for browsers, but I choose Brave. And in terms of text or code editors, there is a whole host of those as well. I learnt to code off Atom. There is Sublime Text, which is also another text editor. And then there's WebStorm, which is a IDE, which is an integrated development environment. You do have to pay for this, but it is a professional bit of kit that most agencies, software houses use. It's a very good product, but it might be overkill for what we need. And then there's Visual Studio Code, which is a low-end IDE, and it's also a very good code editor, and it can scale up to a decent IDE. Not as good as WebStorm, but more importantly, it's free. After the two, I would choose Visual Studio Code and Brave, but it's completely up to you. You could even use Internet Explorer 11 or Notepad. I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do whatever you want to start with HTML. Now, what is HTML? Well, let's find out. So HTML is an acronym for Hypertext Markup Language. It's a markup language created by Tim Berners-Lee as he was working at CERN when he was creating the World Wide Web. It was used to transmit documents across the internet through the World Wide Web and show people structured layouts through this markup language. Now, just to reiterate, this is not a programming language. It's not what they call Turing complete. It is not functional. It is a markup language. So it's purely for skeletal layout builds. It is to build the skeleton of a website. So how does HTML actually help? Well, HTML elements themselves are building blocks of the web, as we'll see shortly. It's also how browsers read your website. They look for HTML that dictates which section of the site you want to do what, where certain information is, and what users should really be focusing on. And it's great for screen readers and things like that. HTML plays a huge part in the web, and without it, there would be no World Wide Web. Now, to be able to see a website, you need to put it on a web host for others to see. And that's essentially how the World Wide Web has grown. A collection of shared documents for other people to see. Now, to create a HTML file, you simply create a new file with whatever name you want, and then at the very end, you add a .html extension, and that produces a HTML file. When you double left click that file, it'll try to open up in a browser by default unless you've changed it to do something else. And now it can open in any browser, it depends whatever your default is. And if you were to go to the web directory your website is held in, either online or in a browser, you will find that if you haven't named your homepage or your main website index.html, it'll actually come up blank. The reason being is, by default, they look for the index.html, and if it isn't there, it turns up blank. So if you call it main.html, it won't show anything unless you've set up a redirect or you've made some other way of showing that page or telling the browser that that's what you want to show. So as a best practice, I would suggest naming your main entry-level web page or your homepage index.html. And if you want to send people elsewhere, you need to set up some kind of redirect or some way of telling the browser that they should actually be looking at main.html or whatever other file it is. Now, what is the HTML element tag syntax? Well, HTML is mostly a start tag and an end tag that wraps around content. So in the example of A, you can see that the content is wrapped by a p tag, which is a paragraph tag. And at the very start, you have it in the brackets and the p in the center to dictate that this is a paragraph tag, and at the very end it's the same. However, it is denoted that it is an end tag by the / at the front of the p, and that says that this tag is a closing tag, and therefore the content has finished for this element. Now there's also self-closing tags. So these are tags that don't need to wrap the content, and in fact they're almost like inline elements that they just stay there and you can close within themselves. So this BR example in B, or a break element, creates a space, and all it needs is just the BR itself within the brackets and a / and also image as well. You can self-close an image element. Now luckily in HTML5 you don't need the /, so you can get away with doing a BR tag and an image tag just without it. Now Semantic HTML is a huge part of how the web works. Going forward, a lot of the big browsers are pushing for Semantic HTML and are favouring websites with Semantic HTML. So if you look at the image on the right, you can see that the header is clearly dictated that it is the header by its name, and the nav being the navigation, the section denoting that this is a separate section, so you can have multiple sections, an article for a post, a blog post, so you can have multiple ones of those, a side to show this is a bit of content to the side, so like a side menu or something, and then the footer obviously. So Semantic HTML describes what essentially the element is being used for, and it tells the browser that this specifically is what it's being used for. Whereas in the past that's not been the case. It's been very haphazard, there's not been much of a standard. Whereas this is bringing more of a standard to the web, which is a brilliant move forward. Because before, people would be using divs and spans haphazardly, and even before then, in the darkest of days, people were using tables for everything. We don't want to go back to that. Now there's two types of HTML elements. There's block level and inline level elements. A block level element takes up the entire line of space and pushes below the content above and creates what we call in HTML a block element. So an example of that is a div element, an image element, the header elements, so h1 to h6, paragraph form, etc. Those are primitive block elements. Now inline does the opposite. It does not take the entire width, it just takes the space that it's within, and it does not push itself below other content. So inline elements could be anchor tags, the A tag, spans, and images. So with all that out of the way, let's jump into some code. So let's start making our website. Now what we need to do is make sure we've created a blank folder and opened it with our code editor. You can name the blank folder whatever you want. In this case, I've called it Learn HTML. Now that it's open with this, I've also opened it in my browser and made sure that my blank folder is open there as well. And I'm using Live Server to load the server in Visual Studio Code, which is an extension you can download, which simply means any changes get automatically reloaded in there. There we go. It's one of the great things about Visual Studio Code that it has such a huge extension ecosystem that you can use. And Live Server is one of the great tools that you can use on Visual Studio Code just to spin up a quick development environment that actually shows you changes. Right, so if you go back, now what we're going to do is we are going to create our first HTML file. So if we go here and we click this, and because it's our home page, we'll call it index.html and add the HTML extension. And automatically the code editor has recognized that this is a HTML file. So that's all well and good, but we need to let the browser know that this is also a HTML file. And to do that, we need to add a doc type at the very start of the page. So we have to add some curly brackets like this, not curly, pointy brackets like this, and then add an exclamation point and add the doc type, and then we'll set it to HTML. Now, doc type isn't case sensitive, so you can type it however you want. You could do it like this in camel case, or you could do it like this, but I prefer uppercase just as I feel like that's the convention now. What we also need to do is add the HTML element to wrap the entire site as the top level element. And this will basically set your site as a HTML document. We will set the language on here as English. Now, it's one of the things about HTML elements, they've all got their own properties, or attributes as we call them. And HTML has one called lang, and there are many others that are common and shared between other HTML elements, which we will go into later. So we're going to add two more primitive elements to the website that are very important. So the other one being head, and the latter being body. Now, the head contains information about the web page itself, so metadata, title information, links to style sheets, for example, or other external files that you might want to include on the web page. And the body is simply the body of the page. It contains all the content, it contains all the layout work. So what we'll do in the head for now, just to keep it simple, is we will add a title. So if we add a title element and we will say learn HTML, we can see in here that it currently says error. So if we save that and refresh this, it now says learn HTML. So we have changed the page information there with the title, and that is the purpose of head. With body, what we'll do is we will add a div, and we'll start adding content. So a div element is like a container class almost. It's a very basic and standard class that you'll see almost everywhere in HTML. And what we'll do is we will add a class of hello world. Now what a class does is that essentially assigns it as selector, because what we want to do is we want to assign almost like a name to this div, and it will be useful later on for styling, which I'll show you shortly. Now within here, what we want to do is we want to add a header for the site. For that, we'll use a header element, particularly the largest one, which is the H1. So if you type in H1, and we have created a H1, and we'll say learn HTML. And there we go, the first bit of text on the web page. And what we'll do to accompany that is add a paragraph text. So this is like the body text of the site. And this element here is another widely used HTML element, and it just essentially adds text to your site. So what we're going to do is we're going to put by Curious Byte, and boom, we now have these two elements. Now as you notice, once I added the last one, it essentially pushed itself below this one and created its own space, as is the nature of a block element. Both the H1 and the P are block elements. Now if I was to change them both to a span, which are inline, they would then suddenly be on the same line, and they wouldn't be competing for space and trying to have their own space. But we will revert that back to a block element for both for now. And now that we've assigned hello world as a class, we can actually use that now. So HTML has its own ability to style a document. We can do that by adding style blocks at the very top of the body element. So we'll do that now. And to access this class here within the style blocks, to actually do something with it, we will add a dot, and the dot denotes that this is a class. And we'll add some curly mustache brackets here, which is what you use for CSS, which is slightly different to the pointy brackets that you use for HTML. And what we'll do is we will set the color of the document to purple. And there you go. Now, we've added a div, but in reality, that's not essentially what we want. What we want to do is make sure that we're writing semantic HTML. So as this is its own little section, what we're going to do is we're going to set it as the header. So now that is the header of the site. And then what we want to do is just below here, we want to add a separate section. And we want to denote that it is separate. And we will add a H2 element, so another header, but it's lower down in the size rankings. And we are going to say learning HTML. And what we'll do is we'll add some lorem ipsum text just to throw that in there. And what we now have is a bit of content to the site. Now what you might have noticed is that these two headers are slightly different. They are both headers, but one is a H1 and one is a H2. Now the browser by default adds its own default stylings. So the H2 has a size of 1.5 EM and the H1 has a size of 2 EM by default that the browser gives it. Now there are ways to reset that when you create a page if you don't want the default styling, or you can set it to your very own, and that's called using reset style sheets. And you essentially reset the base styling and then you add your own. But that's for a future video. All you need to understand for now is that the browser adds default styling to your HTML. So with that, we will go down here and we will add a footer to finish off the site. And we will add, let's add a B tag with Curious Byte. And what we'll do in here is we will use a span tag. A span tag is almost like a div. It's kind of a very commonly used HTML element. It is very much a throwaway element because it's almost like an anything element. It's just used for anything. It's super common and it's not very specific to any use case. So you wouldn't probably use it that often. For example, we've used it to set the copyright here, but in actuality you could just get away with using something else. So for example, if we want to make that bold, we can just add the strong tag here and then we can make it bold. We may not want to. If we want to, for example, make this an underline, we could add a class to the span, for example. So we could add a class like underline, and then up here add a specific styling to that span, which is one of the commonly used uses of a span. And we'll use text decoration underline. And what that does is that adds an underline. So there's a lot of good use cases for span, and it's a good tool to have in your belt. So I hope that helped with your understanding of HTML. We will be in future videos going over HTML and how to style it with CSS, also how to add logic with JavaScript, and then also how to deploy your website to a web host for other people to see. Now if that was useful, give this video a like, subscribe, and I'll see you around for more Curious Byte.